Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Dr. Lisette. I'm the first gen psychologist, and this series is focused on first gen mental health. In this series, we will be covering topics that destigmatize mental health, as well as topics for personal development and empowerment centered on the first gen experience. Today, we will be learning more about a very special guest, Patricia Alvarado. I'll share about her a little bit more because I just realized I didn't fully properly introduce myself. I'm Dr. Lisette. I'm a licensed psychologist, coach, speaker. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I'm so excited to be here. So today we'll be talking about embracing motherhood, navigating perinatal mental health challenges with resilience and support. And let me share a little bit more about our amazing guest. So our amazing guest is Patricia Alvarado. She's a licensed psychotherapist, author, speaker, and podcast host. And so we are so privileged to have her with us today.
Thank
Um,
you.
Yes. So Patricia Alvarado, she's an author, a dually licensed psychotherapist with over 10 years of experience in the mental health field. Her experience comes from working within community mental health, volunteering on the suicide prevention hotline, the managed care / corporate sector, and private practice. A little bit of everything.
A little
Uh,
bit of everything.
Within her experience, she has focused much of her work on trauma and trauma healing. She focuses on the here and now using a multicultural lens to normalize mental health. She is also a certified EMDR therapist and is the owner and director of the group practice Alvarado Therapy based out of Los Angeles, California. Patricia is also the host of Therapy Etc. podcast, a bi-monthly conversation on all things mental health. She can be found sharing thoughtful and insightful messages on her Instagram account, Alvarado Therapy, which you can see also tagged there. So how are you doing today, Patricia?
I'm good. It's been a
Yeah.
busy morning already. I've been up for a long time. Being a new mama, there's a lot of things that I've already done, but I'm here. So I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm so happy to have you. And as a new tradition that I'm starting is drinking my juices in a fancy glass. So this is my orange juice, everyone. It is just orange juice.
Yes. I
Mm,
have regular cafecito, but
there we go. We got our drinks. Yes. So let's go ahead and get started. So we want to learn from you. Our topic is perinatal mental health. So let's learn more about what it is.
yeah,
What is perinatal mental health?
right. So, and this is an interesting topic for me.
Mhm.
I'm a new mom. I
Yeah.
have a 10-month-old baby. And
Mhm.
I'm a single mom also. So I have kind of gone through pregnancy alone,
Mhm.
motherhood alone, obviously with my support system, but I have not I'm not partnered. And I say this because
Yeah.
I think that when before I became a mom and before I was even pregnant, I was like looking at motherhood and being like, oh, like no big deal. Like, like it's, just leave him with the sitter or like, just kind of these things that you don't really think about until you're
Mhm.
in it. And a
Yeah.
lot of and now that I am in this journey myself, I really have noticed so many things that have changed about me as a
Mm.
and I'm just like, I can't be the only one feeling these things. I can't be the only one thinking these thoughts. And so my experience with perinatal mental health is really like my own personal, and then now like
Mm.
my need to want to learn more. So now I'm going through the certification process to be a
Yeah.
perinatal mental health therapist. And
Yeah.
so I say that kind of like initially because I didn't know what any of this was until I started asking questions.
Yeah, I've learned so much about just our work as mental health clinicians, as professionals, that our own experiences really inform a large part of what we choose to specialize in because it adds a different layer of understanding in our work, right? I'm the first gen psychologist. I'm first gen. I specialize in working with first gen folks, and even within that, there's so much to that experience, and so that's why I bring on other experts so that we can enhance our knowledge of the first gen experience, and then at least in terms of learning more about it in reference to also perinatal mental health. There's so much we don't know. There's so much we don't know. And so thank you for being so transparent about your process and experience with all of that. And your 10-month-old, so you've had oh. So what is it? So what is yeah, let's start there.
So perinatal mental health is the the period between pregnancy up until about age 5. It can
Okay.
range up until a child is about 5 years old. Some
Mhm.
people might think that it's, the baby blues, which is a little bit different because the baby blues is something that is probably like lasts maybe about 2 weeks or so
Mhm.
versus perinatal mental health and the anxiety and depression that can come with it, which most of us also know postpartum depression
Yeah.
is an extension of this, so to speak. But this all encompasses pregnancy through 5 years old. And so what it is like all of the changes that happen not only during pregnancy, after giving birth, and then even through the toddler years up until, like I
Mhm.
said, 5. So many things that go undiagnosed. Perinatal mental health is one of those things, or perinatal mood and anxiety disorder is what they call
Okay.
it,
Mhm.
is one of those things that is hardly ever diagnosed. I think it's like the lowest diagnosable mental health illness that is
Wow.
because
Yeah.
there's so much stigma surrounding perinatal mental health and this idea that you need to be this kind of person or that kind of person.
Mhm.
Not only being first gen, being a woman, being a Latina. I mean, there's so many things around it. But the biggest piece is that it is from pregnancy to 5 years old, and the anxiety and depression that comes with it, grief, as well as triggers, stressors, trauma that comes up
Mhm.
because of being a new mom and being and birthing a child or having a child, a new baby, whether it was through adoption or however it happened. But that's what
Mhm.
it encompasses.
Yeah, and I love how you framed it and just talking about it because 0 to 5 years old, a pregnancy to 5 years old, right? Going through that process because I think so many people associate anything to do with pregnancy as, well, you have the baby, maybe you have something after, and that's it, and not taking into account how much bringing a child into your life can changes everything, right? It
Yeah.
changes everything.
I actually read a stat that I was like so
Mhm.
surprised about, but it said something like 400,000 babies are born to depressed mothers every year. Can you believe that? We're sad over
400,000.
here. We need help. We need support.
Yeah, I think of just like when I just get sad generally about different things, and especially as I think about the external pressures or external events that can also impact or add to the stress. And we think about the last 2 years, 3 years generally as we've lived as a society in so much uncertainty with the pandemic and what that was like for new mothers.
Mhm.
Especially, right? And so thinking about that. So we can probably talk about this for much longer than what we have today. But so I want to transition to my next question, which is just to learn more about some common misconceptions that people have about perinatal mental health. So
Yeah.
one we talked about briefly is that the baby blues. Sometimes people think it's maybe just the baby blues. What I
Mhm.
know that the term I've heard most often is postpartum depression, but that's
Mhm.
it.
Yeah. And even like perinatal mental health and
Yeah.
even postpartum depression, I think those are just things that are not even talked about enough. I want to
Oh,
say, I don't know. In my years of being a therapist,
yeah.
it's probably not until now that I'm hearing more about this, and it's because I am asking the questions, not because people are
Mm,
being open about this topic. But a lot of common misconceptions, I would say, are things like you had a baby, you should be happy, or
mhm.
or when are you going to have another one? That's something that I get, and I'm just like, I just had a baby. I just did it. I don't want to do it
Yeah.
again. Give me some.
Yeah.
And so I think those are some big ones. Also, like, se te va a pasar, like no big deal, you'll be good.
Mhm.
Um, or even some things like when it comes to depending on how your the birth of your child was, um, oftentimes in the hospital, depending on the situation, this idea that the doctors know best, and it's like, well, parents know best. And
Mhm.
so being able to trust your judgment and advocating for yourself and thinking that you can't do that because there's somebody else that has a big title that might know more than you who carried that baby inside of you. Um, So those are like
Yeah.
some big misconceptions that I think come up just like off the forefront. The biggest piece is that it's not talked about. So it's almost hard to be like, well, these are the common things. I think the common thing is that it's not talked about.
Not talked about. Yeah, no, I hear that. It's not talked about and it's minimized heavily. At least in what I heard you say, it's people are like, oh, se te va a pasar, right? And it makes me also think back to, a lot of the stigma around mental health, especially within the Latinx community, me being from the Latinx community and you yourself as well. Um, that it creates so much discomfort for people because they think back, well, I survived and I'm here, and needing to exit that survival mentality. Just because we survived, just because we're still here, doesn't mean that it was that it was an
Easy.
enjoyable experience, that it was easy, that it was and so yeah, no, absolutely. So people don't talk about it enough, and that's why we're talking about it, and that's why you have taken it upon yourself to also be an advocate, not for yourself, but for other parents,
Yeah.
right? Um, this is something that we might be more specific. I don't know if you have an answer for this one, but do you know who might be most impacted by perinatal mental health concerns? So I think of, by your answer, maybe new, like a first time parent, but
Yeah.
I was trying to do a little bit of research, and so in terms of other groups or marginalized communities that may be more impacted. Do you have any info on that?
Yeah, so yeah, definitely first time moms. I think even moms in general, it doesn't have to be the first time
Yeah.
mom.
Okay.
Second time mom still might um, have some guilt or shame, or maybe even feel like I'm gonna try doing it better the second time around. Um,
Yeah.
something that still comes into play. But even
Yeah.
though, like, the birthing parent is definitely the person that is, most impacted, but we also can't ignore the fathers that are in the room. And
Mhm.
so there is a stat that I came across that shared that 10% of fathers do experience depression
Mhm.
after a new baby is born. And it's
Okay.
an kind of like thing because most often it's triggered when the mom is feeling the depression and anxiety.
Mhm.
So it's, there is one part that does share like, yes, they can experience it on their own. And I think it's a lot of grief that comes up.
Mhm.
And it is something that I'll be honest, I've experienced a lot of grief surrounding this kind of like new time of my life, mainly because it's hard for me to let go of my life how it was before. And
Mhm.
able to come to terms with how my life is now. It's an incredible life that I live, and I'm so grateful for the
Yeah.
experience and opportunities. But I still can't help ignore being like, wow, it would be really nice to sleep in till like, I don't know,
Mhm.
7 a.m. You know,
Oh, yeah, this is what I hear from all of my, like, parent friends. Sleep
yeah.
now, sleep all you can, enjoy that, because at that phase of life,
I don't know
you're
when I'll sleep again. I'll probably sleep, I don't know, when he's out of the house. I don't know when I'll sleep again. But I say
yeah,
this because this is something that is very real. And so
yeah,
when we're thinking about who are most impacted, I know that grief is very much here because I can imagine that the fathers are feeling that grief of like, my wife is different or my partner is different. Our priorities are now different. And so I can see how there could be a shift with how they're feeling emotionally. And of course,
mhm,
as the other partner in the relationship, they're having all of these changes, all of the hormones. It's
mhm,
very real. The postpartum hormones are real. Don't ignore
mhm,
them. And so when this is happening, when people are partnered, of course
mhm,
we're a mirror, and so we are reflecting off of each other.
yeah,
So yes, definitely both people or whoever's in the relationship is affected.
yes,
BIPOC community is definitely affected, especially because of the resources. Unfortunately,
mhm,
we have to advocate really hard to be able to get the things that we want or the things that we need. And some people, unfortunately, don't have those luxuries of being able to advocate for whatever reason. When it comes to
yeah,
breastfeeding, go back to work. I'm really grateful that I can work from home. My baby's in the next room,
yeah,
but if I wasn't able to do that, then I wouldn't be able to be here right now. And not everybody has those abilities to be able to do those kinds
yeah,
of things. And it's something that we can't
yeah.
ignore.
No, absolutely. The different access. And I think within that, different marginalized communities have a huge distrust of medical systems. And so even if you thought like, oh, I want to advocate for myself in certain ways, I don't trust that this doctor is actually looking out for my best interests. I don't feel comfortable even asking
I've
this question. Yeah.
I've had, like, my baby, there was a few things that were scary when he was first born. He was also born a month
Yeah.
early, and they
Oh,
do
wow.
say that it's better for a baby to be born at 7 months than at 8. So when he was
Oh.
born at exactly 8 months, it was I had my hospital room was full of people because they were like, "What's gonna happen with this baby?" They had to give me like a steroid to make sure his lungs develop,
Yeah.
all of these things, and I'm just like, "Okay, sign here," and I don't know what's happening. I just need him out.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and even afterwards, there's so many things that happen that
Yeah.
I just had to just hope that they were doing the right things, hoping that they are putting the right medicine, hoping that they're, that all
Yeah.
of these things that they're telling me are true, because we're human. People make mistakes, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's scary and a vulnerable place to be in.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. I can only I can only imagine. Um, So I'm going to switch over to my next question, which is just wanting to learn more if there's any additional considerations when we think of first gens. As you were talking, I just thought more about the stigma that people experience around asking for help, especially when it comes to being first gen. As an eldest daughter of immigrants, I think
Mhm.
about the different pressure I feel in so many settings to just know everything, right? And so that's what comes up for me. What about for you?
Yeah, I definitely resonate with what you're sharing.
Yeah.
I think that being first gen comes with a lot of responsibilities,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be a little vulnerable right now, but I feel like there was almost like this expectation, like, if you are first generation, so therefore you need to be able to be doing
Yeah.
certain things in a certain way. We came to this country to give you these opportunities, right? I've taken
Yeah.
all of the opportunities. I'm also
Yeah.
like in my mid to late 30s, and so I feel like, okay, I guess like I'm a woman now, right? I got this. But yet there's still these little voices be in my head saying things like, you still have a lot of responsibilities, and almost seeing
Mhm.
myself as like that child me still, right? And I say all of
Yeah.
this because, you know, I'm a single mom. And so thankfully, I'm able to provide for my child and do what I got to do for my baby. But there's still this little part of me that says, well, we came to this country so you could do all the right things, but you didn't do this part in like the traditional way that you're supposed to. I did it in an untraditional way. And so I
Yeah.
think that that definitely comes up for me when I think about the impact that, or not the impact, but like the responsibility that comes with being first gen.
Yeah.
And we need to have
Yeah.
everything right. And if we kind of deviate,
Yeah.
it's kind of frowned upon. And then
Yeah.
if you're in like my family, they'll just kind of like look the other way and pretend like things aren't happening. And I'm like, let's talk about it. But
Yeah.
not everyone's there.
It goes back to again that minimizing of minimizing of the accomplishment, minimizing how difficult it can be, and minimizing that pressure that many first gens experience, and you yourself from your own experience in recognizing that and feeling that. But
Yeah.
again, it is why I think it helps us in the work that we do with our clients because it gives us a further level or layer of understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I definitely want to share that. After I became a mom, I started asking all my friends, like, did you ever think about this? Did you ever
Yeah.
have these thoughts, these feelings? And then now it's like coming to the forefront. It's like, yes, I did. I remember feeling like, that, like,
Yeah.
I holding my baby thinking, like, did I make a right decision? Like, why?
Yeah.
I'm so stressed. And then other moms, my mom friends being like,
Mhm.
"Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about." And had I not
Yeah.
asked, I'll be like in the shadows, feeling the same things, but not
Mhm.
talking about it. And that's why I'm like being vulnerable and sharing because it's so
Yeah.
important to talk about these things.
I appreciate your vulnerability so much, Patricia. I'm so grateful for it because it's hard to show up in these spaces and to bring these pieces of our identities and to share that with folks, especially at the age of the internet where it's out there. People have so many opinions. But I think that this is a perfect segue to sort of the last big question I have, which is what consejos, which means advice, do you have for those who maybe experience perinatal mental health concerns? I know
Mhm.
you just talked about yourself. What helped you a lot was to just talk to folks who maybe have gone through a similar experience, to share, to
Yeah.
ask, is this something you've experienced, to help you feel less alone in that. But what
Yeah.
else, or did you have anything else that helped you, or any other tips you'd like to share?
Yeah, I started, so a few things that I do more of is that I try to not be on social media as much, and I show up in
Mhm.
spaces intentionally, not because I'm just
Yeah.
kind of browsing. And I say that
Yeah.
because there's so many things that I used to see on the internet, like influencers or whatnot, and
Mhm.
more power to them. But I was like, that is just not real life. Like, how could they have this perfect white home? I don't get it. Like, and
Oh
so,
yeah.
and I'm kind of like, the biggest thing is like, if something feels uncomfortable, it's okay for it to be uncomfortable. Notice it, share it, explore
Mhm.
it, don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're feeling the anxiety and depression, especially after during pregnancy or after giving birth, or feeling like you're not connected to your child, like I should feel really connected, or I should feel pregnant and I
Mhm.
don't feel pregnant. All of these things, all of these thoughts, they're very normal. And please trust and believe that a lot of
Mhm.
us have felt the same way.
Yeah.
And so I just my what I hope to encourage is that this stat of like being the highest like illness, mental health illness that is not talked about, for that to not
Yeah.
be more. I
Yeah.
want us to talk, especially in like Latina communities,
Yeah.
where even more so, we're just I feel almost like drowned in like shame and anxiety and stress and guilt. I want these
Yeah.
conversations to flourish because so many
Yeah.
of us experience a lot of these things, and it's fair. We're changing, our body changes, our thoughts change,
Yeah.
and I want us to continue the conversations and normalize it more than anything.
Yes. Yes. That shame, that guilt, and just, and I get that it's not real life, but I just also when as you were saying that, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I know maybe we don't, sometimes we don't see ourselves in a certain way, but when we first started, right before we went live, my first thing was like, Patricia, like this, your background, everything's so nice, everything's so great, and you were like, I've been up for hours, and my thought is, I started moving into a place. I'm in November, but I had an injured ankle, so everything kind of slowed down a little bit. So I'm still settling in. And I'm literally in my kitchen living room now because my bedroom, I finally built a bookshelf and it's a hot mess in there. I debated doing this in front of my like my book, my empty bookshelf as it's in progress, because I'm also, because of the message that you just said. There's so much online that doesn't feel so real, and so I like share that. It's like everything takes time. That was November. It is February. It takes time. Right?
Girl,
It's
you
like,
my house, other parts of my house that I'm just like, oh, that box has been there for a while. It's okay. I don't need to move it right now.
did you hear? And this is the last thing I'll say before I have my last question. I think Marie Kondo had released a statement that it's like,
Yes, I did. After she
right,
had kids, the
yeah,
organization went out the window. I feel the same way because I think by nature I'm very like organized, and I know where
yeah,
things are. Everything has a home.
yeah.
Yeah, now I'm just like, if I like know where I put like, whatever I'm looking for, like if I put it in the right place, because everything feels kind of upside down because the
Mhm.
priorities change. Like he's the
Absolutely,
priority.
of
So
course, yeah.
whatever he
Anything
needs,
he
and
needs.
yep.
Yeah, that is what it is. So, most important question of all is, first of all, how can people work with you? Do you have anything of yours that you'd like to promote? I know you have some books that maybe you want to talk about. So, I'm gonna
Oh,
open
yeah, I
it.
could have brought it out. I have it stored away. But so I have a coloring book that I created
Mhm.
actually I started it in 2020, but it went live last summer. And
Mhm.
it's called Healing Through Color. And the biggest thing is that, you're able to color on one side, and I'm like, man, my promotion is out. See, my head was somewhere else, but it's on my website in my
Yeah.
shop, alvaradotherapy.org,
Mhm.
where you can purchase it. It's actually I think it's really cool because on one side of the page it has like where you can color, and on the other side it shows like some prompt questions so you can kind of like reflect. It's really cool. I made it with lots of love, so if you're interested, definitely check it out. But yes, you can find me on my Instagram, Alvarado Therapy. Sometimes I jump on live at like random times of the day just to say hello.
Yeah.
And my website, I have a team. It's 7 of us in the practice, and we're all EMDR therapists. And then one little thing I want to throw in there is that a lot of times pregnant women will come and ask like, can I do EMDR while I'm pregnant? And the answer is yes. And nothing's going to happen to your unborn baby if you do EMDR. If anything, it's going to clear out the trauma and stress that you're already experiencing. So
All
yeah.
right. Well, you heard that. And can you just briefly just define what EMDR is? Because I know it's but like a lot of people have talked about it, but every time I mention a term like that, I like to just explain it a bit. What is EMDR?
Yeah, so EMDR stands for eye movement desensitizing and reprocessing. What it does is that we use bilateral stimulation, but your eyes moving back and forth, left to right, to be able to reprocess negative beliefs that you have about yourself. So when we're talking about perinatal mental health, if there's some situation surrounding I'm going to die because of however your birthing experience was, or I'm not good enough, I'm defective, I'm hopeless, I'm helpless. All of these things we can process using eye movement to help you be able to notice, like, yeah, those things happen, but also what are the other things that you're really proud of? Something like, I can be okay. Even though I feel one way, I know that overall I feel this way. And we really try to bring those adaptive beliefs into the awareness so that ultimately people can feel better and heal.
I love that.
Hopefully,
Yes. Thank you.
hopefully that.
No, I think that
If
was
you want
wonderful.
in depth, then reach out to me and then I'll share even more.
Yeah, if you want more in depth, then you have to go and see if Patricia has any client slots available, or definitely work with her team because I imagine you're amazing at supporting them and helping them with their case consultations as needed.
Yeah,
Thank you
definitely.
again. Thank you again, Patricia. Thank you so much for taking the very limited time you have and spending some of that with me today, spending some time to share the wealth of knowledge that you have. And I hope that the next time we're having a conversation, we've learned that perinatal mental health is more at the forefront and that people are talking about it. And, this matters. This is so important. And so let's continue to pave that way. And I guess the first gen trailblazer in you, it just keeps going. All right.
Yes,
Okay.
we will continue at first gen. We were a lot of teachable moments, but we got this ultimately. So
So many, so many. All right. So, bye, everyone. Thank you so much. Please watch the replay, share it with folks you might think would benefit from this. This is on YouTube. It's now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and I will share this link. And I'm sure that Patricia will also post it on some of her socials and websites. So, bye, everyone.
thank you. Bye.